Of course, I don't know what the ultimate significance is going to be, but I can speculate, and I can speculate fairly powerfully, I think. First, I'd like to back up and say, if it's true, the public reports that this planning has been going on for 18 months, then there is absolutely no doubt, there was no doubt in my mind in the first place, that NATO, read Washington, Britain, France, Germany, the whole complex, was involved with this, but principally the United States, because it's got the assets to do the kinds of things that were done, basically intelligence and satellites. But the second thing I wanted to say about it, and I said yesterday on another podcast, is that just imagine for a moment that someone proximate to the United States, or maybe in a submarine or something like that, proximate to the United States, launched an attack that struck Barstow in Louisiana or Minot and blew up B-52s, or hit Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri and blew up B-2s. Imagine what we would do if that occurred, because at least some of us are still steeped in the what I call the doctrine of the Cold War, where we never did these sorts of things. But hitting someone's nuclear strike power, and I think if I remember right about the START treaty, which is still active until February of 26, however moribund it might be, one of the requirements was to keep your bombers like that, B-52s, B-2s, and Russian equivalents, in the open. So that was something that was known, and it was that way for a purpose, not so someone could attack them, quite the opposite, and yet we did. And we were planning this for 18 months, if the public information is correct. This is a staggering strategic error, in my view. And Putin would be absolutely justified. I hope he doesn't. I hope he's more prudent than that in coming back with an absolutely resounding attack, which actually could include a nuclear weapon. I don't think it will. I hope and pray that it won't. But that's how stupid this was. And I'm going to watch this unfold with some trepidation, no question about it. And let me say I don't share Ray's sanguine opinion about this at all. Let me say that I suspect this is going to go on and on and on and on. And what I'm hearing from Istanbul is that that is a prospect of it going on and on and on, because they're not even close. And Ukraine is not going to come around to the adamant position that the Russians have. And saying that the United States, in its current state of disarray, and I do mean that, disarray, is going to be a mediator of consequence in this, even though the situation might demand that, and I think that's true, it does, is nonsense. There's no way this president vacillating from one pole to the other with a cabinet that clearly doesn't know where he's going from one day to the next, with an intelligence community that apparently doesn't even respond to his wishes, and an intelligence community that apparently doesn't speak to anyone but J.D. Vance. And one has to wonder if J.D. Vance is the right conduit for giving Trump, or even if Trump allows him to give him a recent, decent picture of what's happening in various places, including Gaza and the Middle East in general, and including Russia and Ukraine. So I'm not at all happy or hopeful about this situation. I could see this going on and Russia tolerating it's going on, because it can't do anything else but let it go on and continue to win for months. And the disarray of the empires were continuing as it is now, and maybe even deepening and becoming more profound. And let me add the disarray of the EU and the disarray of NATO too. We have so many leaders in NATO now, even in crucial countries like Germany and France, and I would say England too, that aren't supported by their people. They do not have a majority of their people who are in their coalition, as it were, or supporting them. So they're short-termers in many respects. And figuring out where the EU is going and where NATO is going is not very difficult, down the tubes. And if I were to say as a military professional what Putin's real objectives were, say 15 years ago, 12 years ago, 10 years ago, I'd place them in three categories. One, to destroy the transatlantic link. Two, to get rid of NATO. And 3, to keep his reasonably sound energy hegemony over Western Europe. Maybe the third one being unaccomplishable, but nonetheless maybe a product of the first 2. He's going right down that list, and he's being successful, but he's not being successful because of his strategic skills so much as because our lack thereof and because of our mistakes. That's why he's winning. And that's the thing that bothers me, the bigger picture that's occurring right now.